This is a Construction Tales brief safety topic. In this video, I'm going to discuss the invention and history of high visible clothing. Firstly, what is high visible clothing? High visible clothing, sometimes shortened to high vis with an S or high vis with a Z, is any clothing worn that is highly luminescent in its natural property or a color that is easily discernible from any background. It is most commonly worn on the torso and arm area of the body to make the worker more visible to others. Many current health and safety regulations, especially on the federal level, often require the use of high visible clothing as it is a form of personal protective equipment. The main objective of wearing this type of clothing is so that operators of motorized vehicles can see the person from a distance and avoid an accident. Industries that require employees to wear high visible clothing include construction sites, traffic management, security, maintenance services, offshore activities, military, mining, and manufacturing. Who started this high visibility movement? American inventor Bob Switzer is credited on the internet with being the founding father of the high visible paint. This paint was first used for creating the brightly colored fabric that became high visible clothing. Bob's story of how he became interested in creating high visible safety clothing is super unique. Bob was involved in a significant accident during the summer of 1933 while removing a load of tomatoes from a freight car while at work. At the time of the accident, Bob was working at a Heinz Company laboratory that was out of Berkeley, California. While in the process of relocating the bulk tomato delivery, Bob had tripped, taken a nasty fall, and suffered several severe injuries. Bob's major injuries included a skull fracture and a severed optic nerve. Bob was told by doctors to stay in a dark room until he fully recovered his eyesight. This recovery period lasted for several grueling months for Bob. This major job site catastrophe became a major pivotal point in Bob's life. This incident marked the birth of Bob's crusade to create high visible clothing in an effort to help fellow industry professionals avoid accidents in the future. While he was on the mend after this major workplace accident, Bob and his brother Joe began experimenting with colors and chemicals. These bright paint concoctions were initially intended to be used for entertainment purposes with magic tricks. Legend has it that Bob tested his experimental paints on his wife's wedding dress. Miraculously, Bob survived a second time to create the day glow paint with his brother. Word on the street was that Mrs. Switzer had the first glow-in-the-dark wedding dress in the world. She was either highly disgusted with her husband's messy antics or willfully riding shotgun with her family to become a global trendsetter. I'm imagining her being a global trendsetter since she more than likely won't wear that dress more than once. After all, he was developing a multi-million-dollar empire with the ability to buy Mrs. Switzer any dress she wanted. The Switzer brothers continued to perfect their high-visibility concoctions through trial and error. By the time of World War II, this is when their paint technology grew in popularity with a surge in demand. They even continued with branching out into different arenas with their experimental innovations. While experimenting with different colors, a black light and some shellac, the first black light fluorescent paint was born. The two brothers founded their first business venture, known as Fluor S Art Company in 1934. The dynamic duo also went on to establish the Day Glow Color Corporation in 1946. The Day Glow Color Corporation proceeded to be responsible for developing a number of fluorescent paints and pigments for high visible clothing. In addition to high vis clothing, the Switzer siblings also branched out to use fluorescent dye for testing and diagnostic purposes. By 1938, Bob and Joe invented both Zyglow and MagnaGlow. These two non-destructive fluorescent dyes are used in a testing process to identify defects in machined parts. The dyes work to penetrate small defects that can be seen when inspecting the parts under a black light. These two color magicians were so innovative and some pioneers that were ahead of their time. This concludes this Construction Tales safety topic. Come back for more topics soon.